listeners, welcome back to EPG-Every Platform Gamer, the channel where we cover gaming news and do deep dives across PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, PC, all of it. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book released on the 21st of May 2026 for the Nintendo Switch 2 and represents one of the boldest reinventions the Yoshi series has seen in decades. Rather than simply iterating on the familiar template established by Yoshi's Woolly World and Yoshi's Crafted World, it fundamentally alters what a Yoshi game is meant to be. The result is a title that is charming, creative and surprisingly experimental, but also one that may divide long-time fans depending on what they expect from the series. One of the most striking aspects of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is how dramatically it diverges from traditional Yoshi gameplay. Earlier titles like Woolly World and Crafted World were structured as fairly straightforward side-scrolling platformers. Players moved from left to right, completing levels, collecting smiley flowers and overcoming enemies and environmental hazards, while those games added their own twists such as yarn physics or cardboard dioramas. The core structure remained intact. In contrast, the Mysterious Book pivots away from linear platforming almost entirely. Instead of progressing toward a clear finish line, players explore biospheres within the pages of sentient encyclopedia named Mystery. Each level revolves around studying a single creature, learning how it behaves, how it interacts with other elements in the environment, and how Yoshi can utilize its abilities. These discoveries, rather than traditional goals like reaching a flagpole, are what complete a stage. This change transforms the gameplay loop into something closer to a puzzle exploration hybrid. Yoshi still retains his classic abilities, flutter jumping, egg throwing, and tongue-based interaction, but their purpose has shifted. Instead of defeating enemies, these skills are used to experiment with creatures and trigger new interaction. The addition of mechanics such as letting creatures ride on Yoshi's back or using them as tools further pushes the game into a sandbox-like direction. Perhaps the most controversial change is the absence of danger. Yoshi essentially cannot die, and there is very little punishment for failure. This creates an extremely relaxed, low-pressure experience that encourages curiosity and creativity, but removes much of the tension that defined earlier entries. Compared to Crafted World and Woolly World, which balance accessibility with collectible-driven replayability and occasional challenge, the Mysterious Book leans almost entirely into accessibility and experimentation. Whether this is a positive change largely depends on whether the player values challenge or creativity more. The story in Yoshi and the Mysterious Book follows a familiar Nintendo formula, but with an unusual twist. A sentient book named Mystery crash lands on Yoshi Island, prompting Yoshi and his friends to enter its pages and rediscover the creatures within. Bowser Jr. and Kamek provide a light antagonist presence as they search for a powerful creature known as the Build-A-Bird. Unlike previous Yoshi games, where the narrative mainly served as a backdrop for platforming, the story here reinforces the gameplay's focus on discovery. The act of documenting and understanding creatures is directly tied to the plot, creating a cohesive sense of purpose that goes beyond simple rescue missions or treasure hunts. That said, the narrative remains relatively light and paper-thin. In terms of emotional depth, according to some critics, this aligns with the series' tradition of simplicity, but may feel underwhelming for players expecting a more substantial story. Compared to Woolly World, which focused on rescuing yarn Yoshis, and Crafted World, which revolved around collecting the Sundream Stone, the Mysterious Book arguably has a more unique concept but less narrative weight. The music in Yoshi and the Mysterious Book continues the series' tradition of light, cheerful compositions. Reviewers describe the soundtrack as charming and easygoing, matching the relaxed tone of exploration-based gameplay. Sound design also plays a strong role, with Yoshi's iconic vocalizations and unique noises of each creature adding personality to the world. Compared to Woolly World, which famously featured acoustic handcrafted style music, and Crafted World with its playful remix approach using everyday objects, the new game soundtrack is perhaps less distinctive thematically. It complements the experience effectively, but doesn't stand out as a defining feature in quite the same way as its predecessors. Graphically, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book adopts a storybook-inspired visual style that reflects its premise. The world is presented as a living illustration, complete with pantely textures, pencil-like outlines, and a deliberate stop-motion effect achieved through reduced animation frame rates. So far, I'm torn with this new craze of using stop-motion effects in games. It can at times make games feel choppy and like the frame rate is dipping. I would much prefer developers to always give players the option to turn such features off, but in this instance, Nintendo has forced it, which makes the game feel divisive. You'll either love it or hate it. I, for one, don't like the effect at all. This artistic direction is conceptually strong and often praised for its charm. However, it also has a drawn criticism from lacking the visual impact of previous titles. Some reviewers note that it doesn't feel as striking or detailed as Woolly World's yarn aesthetic or Crafted World's handcrafted dioramas, particularly in handheld mode. In essence, while the art style fits the game's theme beautifully, it doesn't always deliver the same technical or visual wow factor that made the earlier games so memorable. When comparing the three games directly, their differences become clear. Woolly World is often regarded as one of the strongest entries in the series due to its tight platforming, clever level design, and unique yarn-based aesthetic. It struck a balance between accessibility and challenge, offering depth for completionists while remaining approachable. Crafted World expanded on that formula with a more experimental visual design and added replayability through alternate leveled perspectives. However, it was widely criticized for being too easy and less mechanically engaging than its predecessor. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book goes even further in this direction, effectively abandoning traditional platforming goals in favor of a curiosity-driven experience. It is more creative and experimental than both games, introducing genuinely new ideas and mechanics, yet it also moves further away from the core appeal that many fans associate with Yoshi, satisfying platforming challenges. Whether Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is better or worse than Crafted World and Woolly World depends entirely on what you value in a game. From a creativity standpoint, it is arguably the most innovative Yoshi title in years. Its focus on discovery, experimentation, and interaction makes it feel fresh, and many critics have praised it as one of the most imaginative platformers in recent memory. However, from a gameplay depth and challenge perspective, it falls really short. The lack of danger, the limited difficulty, and the repetitive structure can make the experience feel shallow compared to Woolly World in particular. In a balanced view, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is neither strictly better nor worse, it is simply different. It excels as a relaxed, creative, and family-friendly adventure, but it sacrifices the mechanical depth and visual distinctiveness that made previous entries stand out. For younger players or those seeking a cozy, low-pressure experience, it may well be the best Yoshi game yet. For long-time fans craving challenge and traditional platforming, Woolly World still likely holds the crown. Have you played Yoshi and the Mysterious Book? Are you planning to get it? We enjoyed our time with the game, but admit that Woolly World and Crafted World were both superior in every way. It does seem like Nintendo has taken a few steps backwards with the added power of the Nintendo Switch 2. The possibilities of what they could have done is endless. Not that it's a bad game, just not a great Yoshi game, building on what came before. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed our Yoshi series. If you've not watched our previous deep dive into the Yoshi series as a whole, please do give it a watch. We break down the entire series. We have one last video for our Yoshi series, a review of Crafted World. Please like, follow and subscribe. It helps our channel immensely. Leave a comment below which Yoshi game was your favourite, and remember, game anywhere and everywhere.